Hey, I'm Ethan. Life was rolling along just fine. I was doing well, married to a stunning woman named Olivia. But you know how these things go. Buckle up. My gorgeous wife, Olivia, was a few years younger than me. At 47, she looked more like she was 35. Her personality? It could melt glaciers. Seriously, I've never met anyone with her level of charm. She always knew the right words to say. A real silver-tongued charmer. Conversations with her flowed effortlessly. To me, her personality was invaluable. Now let's dive into her career. Olivia had a degree and was a certified public accountant, running the accounting department at a major downtown hospital. We're talking billions of dollars moving through her office annually. The weight of her responsibilities was immense, so late nights at work were a given. I understood that. It was part of the job, and I never complained. I was the supportive partner, always. Funny thing is, we met back in college. She was just starting her journey while I was taking a few courses to get my real estate license. Love hit me like a freight train. But her life before we met? I never asked about it. It wasn't important. We dated exclusively for nearly a year, and then, bam, a ring and a marriage proposal changed everything. Olivia and I had a beautiful wedding and an unforgettable honeymoon. Life was blissful. When we returned from our honeymoon, Olivia had big plans for her career. Sure, graduating took a bit longer because of the arrival of our two amazing kids. Meanwhile, I was making good money, and we even hired a nanny to help Olivia finish her degree. She completed it and was quickly recruited by a top accounting firm in Dallas. Our reliable nanny stayed with us until the kids started school. Olivia worked tirelessly, climbing the career ladder. She was headhunted by another accounting firm and then recruited by the hospital. It felt like she was getting promoted every other year until she became the head of the accounting department. That was about 5 years ago, and she's been thriving ever since. As for me, I'm a licensed real estate broker focusing on commercial properties. With 4 different agencies, I always have a steady stream of listings, not just in Dallas, but also in Oklahoma City and Little Rock. My job keeps me on the move between these cities. Our kids, Henry and Sophia, are doing well. Henry's got his degree and is working in San Francisco. Sophia's still studying here in Dallas and planning a June wedding after finishing her degree in May. I'm hopeful she'll join me in the business once she's married. Sophia's inherited many of her mother's traits, and those skills are incredibly valuable. She's going to do great. Now, let's rewind to a year ago at Starbucks. I was there as usual trying to reach Olivia. Every day around 4:30, I'd call her to see when she'd be heading home and to discuss dinner plans, whether we'd go out, grab some takeout, or cook something at home. Fridays were sacred to us. After 25 years of marriage, I could count on one hand the number of times we didn't go out on Friday nights. Even if work was busy, we'd finish up and enjoy our night. We were the type to keep work at the office, though occasionally we had to go back on weekends to tie up loose ends. But Friday night was our time to unwind. So I arrived at Starbucks a bit early to call Olivia about dinner plans. I decided to relax with a cup of coffee first. Across the street was the hospital, and to my left was a large parking garage. This garage had a pedestrian bridge connecting it to the hospital, and there were 5 exits from the garage with 2 lanes on the road, reserved for garage traffic. I wasn't paying much attention, but I did notice a big Chrysler 300 coming out of the garage and stopping at the traffic light right in front of Starbucks. What caught my eye was that Olivia was in the passenger seat. That struck me as odd, because she always kept me informed about any meetings outside the hospital. I was at Starbucks and needed answers. With my phone in hand, I called Olivia's office, hoping for some clarity. But what I heard was shocking. They told me she had finished work for the day. My confusion deepened, so I decided to skip the office and call Olivia directly. After 3 rings, she answered, and I blurted out, "Olivia, where are you?" Her response? "I'm in my office, buried in a crucial report that needs finishing." Here's where it gets interesting. I was at Starbucks with plans to celebrate a big sale and take Olivia to our favorite Austin restaurant. I even thought about us spending the night there, but all she could say was, "I can't tonight, but can I get a rain check?" Then came the real surprise. "Are you at Starbucks across from the hospital? I thought you were in Oklahoma City." I confirmed I was indeed at Starbucks, and no travel had been on my schedule. I was left grappling with a burning question. Did Olivia realize I'd spotted her? In an attempt to bridge the gap, I offered to bring her coffee and a salad to help her through the report. She mumbled something indecipherable, and mentioned that one of her colleagues had already left her a sandwich and a soft drink. Olivia added, "Pick up something for yourself on your way home, and I'll get there as soon as I can." Driven by curiosity, I checked the location on my phone and saw their car had parked at a place I was all too familiar with, the Hilton Hotel. I called her again, asking, "Are you still in the office?" "Yes," she replied. I decided to give her some space and said, "I'll catch you at home if you'd rather be alone. I can wrap up the work myself." With a weary, "Okay, see you later," I ended the call. Olivia and I had what seemed like a picture-perfect life. We were financially secure, driving luxurious cars all thanks to me. Our home was a grand ranch spread over 5 meticulously maintained acres. It looked more like a private park than a residence. When we weren't working, we were inseparable. From an outsider's perspective, it was obvious we were deeply in love and wholly devoted to each other. Olivia always danced exclusively with me at social events. Despite my insistence that she could dance with other men, she'd always say she didn't want another man's hands on her. I never had reason to feel jealous. I never even considered that Olivia could be unfaithful. I thought our intimate life was fantastic. I was completely devoted to her, and she knew how strongly I felt about fidelity. I empathized with Olivia, believing she was content. I couldn't fathom her seeking satisfaction outside our marriage if she wasn't happy at home. I sat there, utterly crushed. It felt like my entire world had collapsed. A few people noticed my distress and asked if I was all right. Eventually, I gathered myself and drove home. I was alone in the dark when Olivia arrived. She asked, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" I responded, "I've had a terrible day and I'm upset. What's your next question?" We rarely argued, but I felt justified asking, "You mentioned you were excited about closing a big sale, so why are you upset now?" Her answer was, "I've received some very unsettling news." I pressed, "What could possibly be so terrible?" She retorted, "If you don't know, then you don't need to ask." I poured myself a generous brandy, retreated to the den, and sat down. Skipping dinner made the brandy hit me faster. I stayed in the den for about 30 minutes before heading to the guest bedroom to sleep. I spent the night tossing and turning, unable to escape the reality of what she had done to our marriage. I wondered if this was the first time she had betrayed me. How long had she been deceiving me? One thing was clear. I would not tolerate being treated like a fool. Eventually, I woke up from a restless night. After a quick shower, I stumbled into the kitchen, desperate for coffee. Olivia was already at the table and spoke first. "Good morning. How did you end up in the spare bedroom?" she asked. "I slept terribly," I admitted. "I don't think I even managed an hour of sleep. Can you tell me what's bothering you?" I looked at her, puzzled by her question. "Olivia, is there something you want to discuss?" I asked. "What do you mean?" she replied. "Are you upset because I had to work on a Friday night and we couldn't go out to dinner? Since when did work become more important than family? We've always dropped everything on Friday nights for a night out. Maybe work has become more appealing than spending time with me. Who's the other guy?" Her expression turned to one of confusion, and she clearly didn't want to answer. Growing restless, she got up and started a fresh pot of coffee, avoiding my question. "I saw you," I continued. "I even called your office, and they said you had left for the day. I know you went to the Hilton. Game over. How could you do this to us? To me and our family? I thought we meant more to each other than some cheap affair." "I'm really sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I've been struggling with it for over a year, and in the end I was weak. I got caught up in it. His name is Michael Thompson, my boss. We tried to keep it under wraps so you wouldn't find out. I'm so deeply sorry." "First off, you know my stance on infidelity," I said. "Our marriage is over. I've never been so hurt. I've been betrayed by my best friend, my lover, my soulmate, my wife. We've always shared everything. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this would happen. At this point, I'm not even sure I want to keep living. If we didn't have kids, I know what path I would choose." Olivia was sobbing uncontrollably now, seeing the depth of my pain. I wasn't interested in her pity. As she composed herself, she asked, "Is there anything I can do to fix our marriage?" The simple answer was no. "But right now, I'm not thinking clearly. I can't make a decision about this. However, there might be steps you can take to regain your self-respect. First and foremost, the affair has to end immediately. You need to file a physical offense case against your lover, because it seems like he took advantage of you. You both might risk losing your jobs over this, I said, but it's the right thing to do. Finally, you should quit your job and consider filing a lawsuit against the hospital. You're a CPA, so finding a new position shouldn't be an issue. She hesitated and said, I'm not sure if I can agree to all of that. I stood up, preparing to leave the kitchen. Where are you going? She asked. I'm leaving, I replied. I'll let you know where I'm staying. Tomorrow I'll consult with a lawyer and try to handle this as smoothly as possible. But rest assured, neither you nor your lover will come out of this unscathed. Mark my words on that. I won't be made a fool. I added, I'll call the kids this afternoon and let them know about your infidelity. Olivia pleaded, please keep the kids out of this. I responded, aren't they part of this family too? Yes, but I don't want them to be hurt by it. She protested, it's a bit late to worry about that now. They're adults and they need to know. It sounds like you're more concerned about your reputation. With that, I packed 2 suitcases, gathered my business documents, and loaded up the car. When I returned to the kitchen, Olivia was still at the table, crying. Olivia, if you follow through on what I've asked, and if you want to talk, I'm open to discussing our marriage. I'll let you know where I'll be staying. And with that, I left, wondering if I'd ever set foot in my house again. I ended up at a local Holiday Inn, which had a fantastic breakfast. I inquired about a weekly rate and made reservations for 2 weeks. I texted Olivia to let her know where I was. As I reflected on my choices, I questioned why I had done it, but old habits are hard to break. The next day, which was Sunday, I spent the entire day in my room, lost in thought and self-pity. I knew I needed to talk to my children, so I sent them a text asking for a conversation about some unfortunate news. They responded quickly, asking me to call immediately. I broke the heart-wrenching news to them. Their mother had been unfaithful and involved in an ongoing affair for the past few months. They wanted to know how I had found out, and I shared the details. They were devastated but assured me of their support. They had many questions, but I had few answers. I told them I had moved out and was staying at the Holiday Inn near our old house. After a tearful goodbye, Olivia called me within minutes. How could you turn the kids against me? She demanded. I didn't turn them against you. Your actions have hurt them, and that's what they're reacting to. I told you I would tell them. I'm not going to inform your friends or family. That's your job. But be aware, the truth has a way of coming out eventually. Just after hanging up, there was a knock at the door. It was my daughter, Sophia. She came in and we embraced, tears streaming down our faces. She understood my pain, and I was grateful for her presence. We talked for over an hour. Sophia wanted every detail, but I didn't have much more to share. Eventually, Sophia mentioned she was going to see her mother. About 2 hours later, Sophia texted me, urging me to talk to Olivia because there was more to the story than I knew. Reluctantly, I called Olivia. I know Sophia visited you and she asked me to reach out. I promised her I would. So let's talk. I'm warning you, what I'm about to say will be painful. Are you sure you want to hear it? Yes, Olivia said. You've already told Sophia, and she obviously thinks I need to hear it too, so let's hear it. So Olivia reluctantly revealed the entire story of her affair. The details were agonizing to hear. The man involved was more than a decade younger than Olivia and over 15 years younger than me. My anger boiled over, and I felt compelled to confront him for destroying my marriage. While I could understand why Olivia might have been drawn to him, it didn't excuse her cheating on me, not just once but repeatedly over months. I couldn't get past that. I called my lawyer Lucas, who was also a personal friend, and explained the situation. He advised me to come to his office first thing the next day. Though Lucas is a friend, he's always professional in his business dealings, and I knew his fees would be appropriate. I told him I intended to file for divorce, serve Olivia with papers, and then wait out the 90-day period. I wanted immediate legal action against her lover and planned to sue him for the emotional damage he had caused. I also wanted to pursue a lawsuit against the hospital, believing that there should be some accountability in their policies, especially if higher-ups exploit their subordinates. Even if the lawsuit didn't go anywhere, it might create some unwanted publicity. I asked Lucas if there was a way to discreetly inform Michael Thompson's wife about the affair. Lucas, being the clever lawyer he is, made a call to Michael's home, posing as an accountant from the Hilton. He inquired about recent credit card charges and suggested a corporate rate that could save Michael money in the future. Michael's wife seemed to grasp the situation almost immediately. I knew she would be furious with him. An hour later, Olivia called me, her voice filled with frustration. "Why did you have to bring disgrace to Michael's family? Are you at work? Have you decided on any of my proposals?" "Yes, I'm at work," I replied, "and I'm still considering your proposals." That was clearly the wrong response. I had already consulted with Lucas and had asked him to delay filing the divorce papers until I had seen how Olivia would respond. Now I had my answer. "I hope you have a good life," I said, and hung up, feeling a profound sense of emptiness. My last hope for some sort of redemption had vanished. Olivia wasn't open to any of my suggestions. I called Lucas immediately and instructed him to serve Olivia with the divorce papers and proceed as quickly as possible. I wanted no delays. I went to the bank and split our joint accounts evenly. We had always kept our finances combined, never separating them into his and hers. I opened a new account in my name, ordered new credit cards, and informed my workplace of my change of address, transferring my accounts to another broker. I also took 30 days of vacation. I needed a break to clear my head, so I decided to head to Jamaica. Lucas acted swiftly. By the next day, Olivia was served with the divorce papers and charged with adultery. Michael Thompson was also sued, along with the hospital. While I wasn't sure if my case against Thompson or the hospital was strong, it gave me some satisfaction. I didn't expect Olivia to contest the divorce. I informed everyone who needed to know about my absence for the next 30 days. Unsure of my access to email or cell phone reception, I bought some beachwear and a good pair of running shoes and left abruptly. Though I felt like I was running away, I questioned what exactly I was fleeing from. A cheating wife? Jamaica turned out to be a pleasant escape. I wanted to stay active, so I ran on the beach every morning. At first, I could only manage short distances, but within 2 weeks, I was running 3 miles a day. I lost some weight and enjoyed the sun and beach. I even explored the real estate market and found property surprisingly affordable. I envisioned retiring at 53. Despite dividing our finances, I still had a substantial amount of money and no outstanding bills. The family house would also bring in a good sum when sold. I put a deposit down on a 2-bedroom beachfront bungalow, close to shops, restaurants, and bars. It was a perfect break from my high-stress life. However, I knew I had to return to Dallas to handle the legal proceedings. While I didn't have high expectations for the lawsuits, I needed to check in and see what was happening. I also wanted to visit my children, especially since Sophia's wedding was approaching. I reached out to Sophia, and she picked up on the first ring. "Dad, it's so great to hear from you. Where have you been?" "I've been enjoying my time as a beach bum," I replied. "Anyway, I'm back for your wedding. Is everything going as planned?" Sophia assured me, "Yes, the wedding is still set for a week from Saturday, and everything is going smoothly. Mom has been incredibly helpful since she quit her job." This caught me off guard. "Mom quit?" "Dad, she resigned the Tuesday afternoon after you left and sued Michael in the hospital on Wednesday. If she could have found a lawyer sooner, she would have done it on Monday. We tried to reach you multiple times but had no luck." I felt uneasy. Why didn't she inform me? "She did try to reach you. Did you not have cell service or email access where you were?" "No, there was no reception. I've only just turned on my cell phone now and see a lot of missed texts and emails." "Mom has also been seeing a counselor twice a week for the past month. She's making a real effort to improve herself and has been a wreck. She really needs someone with her." I acknowledged her words but remained firm. "While I appreciate that, my marriage with your mom is over. I'm not sure if I can ever trust her again, especially since she was so convincing with her lover. I'm not certain why she'd want to return to me when what I offer might seem ordinary to her. Mom loves you, Dad, and I don't think the physical aspect is an issue anymore. I'll talk to her maybe today, but I can't make any promises. I believe our marriage is beyond repair, but I assure you we'll be together for your wedding. I don't want anything to spoil your big day." After our call, I visited Lucas's office to check on our legal proceedings. The divorce was progressing smoothly, with the judge expected to finalize it within 30 days. The other legal cases were more complex. Michael Thompson had lost his job and was facing a divorce action himself, which had significantly impacted his life. The hospital, on the other hand, was denying any responsibility. Lucas mentioned that Olivia had filed claims against both Thompson and the hospital, and he believed her case was stronger than ours. Given this, I decided to withdraw our lawsuit against Thompson, but keep the hospital case active to gauge their response. The preliminary hearing was set for 2 weeks from now. I left Lucas's office and headed straight to my own. I informed the office manager of my decision to retire and that I would not be returning. Although I wasn't wealthy, living in Jamaica was cost-effective, and I could manage on a modest budget for quite some time. Plus, the funds from selling our house would help. I needed to discuss this with Olivia since she was still living in our house. For the first time in weeks, I found myself driving up to our home. As I approached, I wondered if I would ever truly come back. Olivia was waiting at the door before I could even get out of the car. "Hello, Ethan. You look fantastic, so tanned and slim," she said warmly. "Yeah, the past month has been good to me. My old clothes don't fit anymore," I responded. We sat down in the kitchen, and Olivia started brewing a pot of coffee. "We have a lot to discuss. Our divorce will be finalized in 30 days. We need to figure out what to do with the house. What are your thoughts?" "I haven't given it much thought," Olivia admitted. "I suppose we could sell it, even though it's hard to let go since it's been our home since we got married. Would you want to buy my share and stay here?" "No," I said firmly. "The house is too big for just one person, and it's filled with too many memories, mostly good ones. I can't stay here, so I think listing it is the best option. Do you know any good real estate agents?" "I'm sure I can find a realtor," Olivia said. "But I can't sell the house right now. I've just submitted my retirement paperwork. After Sophia's wedding, I'm planning to move to Jamaica. I feel at home there, disconnected from the world, and I love it. I've been able to exercise daily, eat well, and shed the weight I've struggled with for so long. That's my plan. What about you?" "I don't have any concrete plans," I replied. "I'm taking things day by day, trying to move past the wreckage of our marriage. I'll be okay. I'm considering finding an apartment near Sophia and eventually returning to work. I'm not rushing back, but eventually I'll need to get back into the swing of things." "How can you afford to retire?" Olivia asked. "Living in Jamaica is cheap," I explained. "It's a simple life, and I don't need all the luxuries we had here. I can manage without dipping into my savings or selling stocks. I'll be fine. We'll get around $1 million from selling the house, so we'll have that to split as well." "Have you seen Sophia?" Olivia asked. "No, but I spoke to her on the phone this morning. I made her a promise that I hope you'll help me keep. I assured Sophia that we would both attend her wedding. I don't want anything to mar her special day." "Do you know when Henry is arriving for the wedding?" Olivia asked. "He's flying in next Wednesday," I said. "I plan to meet him at the airport, but if you want, you could join me." "I'd like that," Olivia said. "The house is quite spacious. Would you be willing to stay here as well? It would be nice to have everyone under one roof, especially since we're hosting the reception here. The big marquee will be set up on Monday, and the caterers have everything prepared." So, it was settled. Olivia and I seemed to reconnect as we had before the affair. We were able to talk without anger and work together efficiently to prepare for Sophia's wedding. Having Henry's help was a blessing. The night before the wedding, Sophia stayed at the house with us. Despite the tension, having our family together one last time felt special. We all knew that soon, the house would be sold, and there would be no more family gatherings in our old home. Sophia's wedding was flawless. She looked radiant, and I felt a pang of sadness, knowing that her husband was a great match, but I secretly hoped he truly appreciated Sophia's worth. The venue was decorated with fresh flowers, and champagne flowed freely. We had one of Dallas's top bands, and the celebration continued into the early hours. Olivia and I danced together for much of the night. I had promised Sophia that we would attend as a couple, and I believe we lived up to that promise. Olivia looked stunning, and I found myself responding to her just as I had in the past. The alcohol and emotions made me feel nostalgic. I might regret this in the morning. At one point, Olivia said, "Ethan, if we share a bed tonight, it'll be more than just sharing a bed." "What's going on, Olivia? Please, let's just relive some old times," she pleaded. "Olivia, I'm sorry, but I can't. I know you're still involved with someone else. I can't go through this." I left Olivia in tears, packed my things, and drove to the Holiday Inn. My phone rang the next morning. It was my son. "Dad, what did you say to Mom last night?" "She cried all night." The next morning, my son called me. "Dad, what did you say to Mom last night?" he asked. I hesitated before replying. "Son, this might be uncomfortable to hear, But your mother is still involved with someone else. I'm not happy about it. I know you're flying back today, and I'll come pick you up in 2 hours to drive you to the airport. But I want to make it clear that I don't want your mother coming along, and I'd prefer not to see her. I stayed for an additional 3 days before heading back to Jamaica. During that time, Lucas informed me that the hospital had made a settlement offer. Initially, they proposed $500,000, but we negotiated and settled for $750,000. After taxes and legal fees, including Martin's charges, I ended up with $500,000. That amount would go a long way. I said my goodbyes to everyone except Olivia and boarded my plane, ready to start a new chapter in my life. Life in Jamaica was wonderful. I refreshed my cozy beach bungalow and bought a used Jeep. I kept up with my beach runs and enjoyed sunbathing. Occasionally, I received mail or postcards from my kids. One day, I got a letter from Lucas with all the updates. My divorce had gone smoothly, and I was officially a free man. Olivia had won both her lawsuits. The hospital had paid her $5 million, and Thompson, unable to afford the $1 million judgment against him, had gone bankrupt. Olivia was financially secure for life and wouldn't have to worry about money again. Lucas also mentioned that the house had been sold, and most of the furniture was put in storage. There was no update on Olivia's current situation or where she was living, but honestly, I wasn't concerned. She had caused me too much pain, and I had no intention of going through that again. Sophia checked in with me about once a month, often teasing me about being a fool, but reassuring me that her mother was doing fine. I couldn't help but worry that Sophia might have given up on me. Leah, though not the best at keeping in touch, was busy with his social life, so I wasn't too concerned. Several months passed, and I began to feel more like myself. I started yearning for companionship. The main commercial areas of the island, famous for their resorts, were just a few miles away. Many middle-aged women visited these resorts for various reasons, and the resorts hosted dances several times a week. It wasn't unusual for me to find a charming woman to dance with and enjoy some wine. That's how I met Emma. She was petite, around 52, with brown hair and striking blue eyes. Emma worked as an investment broker and was taking a break from the stress of the stock market. We danced the night away and enjoyed plenty of wine. As the music played on, she suggested we step outside for some fresh air. We strolled down to the beach, and suddenly she kissed me. We talked, and I learned she was staying at the resort for a month. I offered to show her around the island, and naturally, we ended up back at my bungalow. Emma was very open about her desires and shared that she had had many partners, but had never been married or had children. At 38, she was still searching for the right person and wasn't sure about having children, but hoped to settle down eventually. Emma spent the entire month with me, returning to the resort only to fetch more clothes. We had a deep connection, and although we never explicitly said, "I love you," there was an unspoken understanding between us. As Emma's vacation neared its end, neither of us wanted to spoil the mood by discussing what would happen next. The night before her departure, we moved her back to her room at the resort. There was a dance that evening, a common tradition before large groups left. We attended the dance, enjoying each other's company. Things were heating up on the dance floor when I saw her across the room, sitting in a booth and getting close with someone. Emma immediately noticed something was wrong and asked me about it. I told her I had seen my ex across the room with her boyfriend, whom I thought had disappeared long ago. I needed to address the situation. We approached their booth. "Olivia, it looks like my suspicions were right. You never stopped seeing this guy," I said. Olivia looked up, her face a mix of surprise and discomfort. "What are you doing here?" she asked, adjusting her dress. "I live here," I replied. "And you told me your affair was over. What's happening? Were those all lies?" Michael, who was with Olivia, stood up, ready to confront me. "You're divorced now. What Olivia does is no longer your concern," he said. "Although I'll admit we've continued seeing each other." "I suspected as much," I said. "But I don't appreciate being lied to. My ex-wife has deceived me. We once loved each other and never would have lied. You've changed her, and your actions have ruined our marriages. The term jerk doesn't even begin to describe the misery you've caused." Michael, visibly agitated, grabbed me and threatened me. I fell to the floor as the bouncers rushed over. Emma explained to them that Michael had attacked me, and several witnesses confirmed what had happened. The bouncers quickly surrounded our table, and Emma explained that this man had attacked me. Several witnesses came forward to confirm her account. An ambulance was called, and I was rushed to the hospital. I was unconscious for a while. When I regained consciousness the next morning, the police were there to interview me. They asked if I wanted to press charges, and I agreed without hesitation. Emma stayed by my side throughout the night, holding my hand and offering comfort. The past 30 days had been the most unforgettable and joyful of my life. I had never felt so at ease and connected with anyone before. I had to admit, I had fallen in love with Emma. I told her, please stay with me, don't go back to your old life or work. I may not be wealthy, but we could have a comfortable life without ever needing to work again. Emma looked at me with a mix of affection and concern. I love you too, but I need some time to think about giving up everything. Part of me wants to say yes right away, but I need to settle some loose ends before making such a commitment. Can you understand? Take all the time you need, I said. You know where to find me. Emma kissed me goodbye and left for her flight, feeling like the second great love of my life had just walked away. I spent 2 more days in the hospital. I learned that Thompson was out on bail but facing potential jail time. I packed a small suitcase and flew back to Dallas to consult with my lawyer. Lucas was pleased to see me but shocked by my condition. Ethan, what brings you back to civilization? He asked. I need some legal advice, I replied. Do you remember that settlement I received from the hospital? Yes, it was $750,000. Why? Well, since Olivia and I were still technically married at the time of the settlement, is she entitled to half of that under community property laws? Technically, yes, Lucas said, but her settlement was for $5 million. Why would she want part of yours? I don't know if she's interested or not, but I want half of her settlement. I had no problem with her having it because I thought she had ended her affair with her ex-boss and agreed to my terms. But now I've discovered she didn't stop seeing him, even after our separation and before the divorce. In fact, she's still with him. Lucas took the details and that same afternoon flew to Jamaica to deliver the legal documents to Olivia. He reported back that she had already spent a significant portion of her settlement. Reluctantly, she wrote the check for her share. I stayed with Sophia and her husband, sharing what I had uncovered. Sophia admitted she had suspected something, but had been assured by her mother that there was no involvement with Michael. I asked if she was sure her mother was seeing a counselor and not her lover. Sophia wasn't certain. The next day, Lucas returned with good news. Olivia had agreed to split the money, though she kept her share of my settlement. I returned to Jamaica, and upon arriving at my bungalow, I found Emma waiting for me on the patio. If you can stand having me around, I'm here to stay, she said. If you'd have me, would you do me the honor of marrying me? Without hesitation, I responded, yes. Emma and I were married in a small ceremony with some of her friends in attendance. Life was wonderful. Olivia, having squandered a large portion of her settlement, had to return to work and couldn't maintain a lasting relationship. As for Michael Thompson, he served a year in prison and faced a bleak future as a felon, bankrupt, and divorced.